This episode is brought to you by the Ultimate Girls Trip. Here is our reoccurring daydream. Us at a drool-worthy pool, surrounded by our business besties. We just finished a powerful exercise on building our dream lives and executing our business goals. Join us if you are ready to be celebrated for taking up space, to feel purposeful, and to live a life of fulfillment. Go to proofitspossible.com for more info. Welcome to Proof It's Possible. Jamie and I are multifaceted entrepreneurs, the founders of the Ultimate Girls Trip, and the hosts of Proof It's Possible. Jamie and I are also sisters, best friends, and complete opposites, but somehow we always manage to stay on the same team. Join us every week to hear our thoughts on all things entrepreneurship, friendship, family, pop culture, and more.
Hi guys, welcome back. Today we're talking about rejection and how it's actually protecting us.
So yeah, it's funny because it never feels like it. It never feels like it in the moment. It always feels bad. And it doesn't matter if you're a little kid that didn't make the sports team, or if you are an adult that didn't get the job, or if somebody didn't buy your product or service or whatever you're selling, or it's a relationship and you and a person break up, or you don't get the person that you want, or whatever it looks like. It always feels like such a slight, don't you think? And it's hard on our hearts. And that's the part that when it comes to like the mindset thing, we kind of have two choices. We can go down the rabbit hole of like self-pity and not feeling worthy and not feeling like we're like that person's opinion, whether that's the boss that didn't hire you or the coach that didn't pick you or whatever, is the only opinion that matters, because in that moment, that's what's in front of you. But keeping our mindset afloat to know that that's not true,
Yeah, I'm just like trying to think back on my life when I've had like some deep rejections. Honestly.
Well, and like the thing is rejections are, by the way, I love this. It's kind of like when I'm like, I've never done that, and you call me out on my shit. So you're
Guys,
like, I never broke
it's
up with
not
any of
my
my
fault that I
boyfriends.
made every sports team ever.
I made every sports team. I get every job I want, and I broke up with the guy. They didn't break up with
So, I
me.
mean, I
So,
don't have a lot to
anyways,
discuss on the
can
topic,
you
but
define rejection? I'm not familiar. I don't even know about it.
yeah, I mean, I don't need, not even one example came to mind. So.
Yeah, so that's embarrassing for the whole podcast. But this is the thing. So like there was times that like even if I was like dating a guy or something and it didn't work out, and like I knew, like my rational brain knew in the moment this was for the best, and I could like say all those things, there's still a level of like it feeling bad to my ego, to
Of
my heart,
course.
all the things. Or like watching your kids like try out for teams because they're the bravest little cutie pies in the whole wide world that's ever
Mhm.
been born. And just seeing like, sometimes they're trying out for a team that they're the year younger, but they're allowed to try out. And as the like auntie or the parent, we know that their chances are like limited, but if they don't make it, it's still devastating. I want it for them. I want it
Oh,
for
it's
them.
so devastating. But I will say that rejection is a part of life. And the more you can like make peace with it in the healthy ways, the more you're able to make peace with it when you're faced in the really like challenging times. So like not making the sports team is a good like dipping your toe into the pool of what it feels like to be rejected versus never have been rejected, and then you get rejected by someone who's a really terrible human being when you're 21 years old, and then you continue to chase them because you're like, well, no, I've never faced rejection, so I'm going to cling to something that's really not right for me, really unhealthy, something like that. Like I'll take that kind of flexing of your muscle, or like training your muscle in like the healthy version when you're a child versus the like really unhealthy version of it when you're an adult and making poor decisions.
Well, because you don't have any skills around it. And you don't have any parents to be like, listen, this happens and you're going to be okay. And well, and like rejection is protection is sort of the saying, but it's like, if you're going to make the sports team, but be the kid that's a year younger than everybody else and sit on the bench the entire time and never get to play and never get any better that whole year because you aren't actually playing the sport, you're just on the team. That's not better than playing with peers that are your own age, maybe getting to be a leader on that team. And so you not only get the lesson of rejection in the moment, but you also get to like keep growing with your peers and potentially get to, like I said, be the leader of that other in that other space because you are pretty good, but you're not as good as the girls or the boys that are one full year older than you. And then,
Mm-hmm.
like you're saying, it sets you up for when you go for your first job as a waitress or at the bakery in your grocery store and you don't get it, you're not like, oh my God, I'll never work because the bakery didn't pick me. Like you have the skills to be like, okay, well, I have to like, you don't get them all. So I have to go find another job to apply for. And you pick the
Mm-hmm.
next thing down in the strip mall and see if you can be the cashier there or you can be
Mm-hmm.
the whatever. Like there is the resiliency muscle that does need to be built, and trauma with a little t is so much better to build it on than the big traumas, like you said, where you have the mean boyfriend, you have the your
Mm-hmm.
dream job that you don't get or whatever. And the thing is even when when you don't get the dream job, you don't know if it was the dream job. Like in
No,
past
your mind has told you it is. But that's with so many things in life. What we don't get, we like I idealize. Like,
for sure.
that the guy was just he was perfect, but he
Well, and
doesn't
that you
like
would have got
me
so
or
much better on the team because they're all better players, but you don't get better if you have to watch. You're just watching if you don't get to
mm-hmm.
play. Or you don't get better if you're at a job where they don't teach you anything and
Mm-hmm.
you just do one menial task every day all day and then get sent home. Like you might be better off at a job that has like a little bit more movement or a little bit more learning
Mm-hmm.
opportunities. And that's the part that it's hard to see in the moment that it is protecting you because you're not on the right path. There isn't there there is somewhere else you're supposed to be or a different skill you're supposed to learn, but that trust in the universe and just what's meant to be um is hard to battle your ego.
Mm-hmm. Do you have any examples of like rejection in business?
Well, I mean, every time you go to like pitch somebody or pitch something and the person doesn't buy, these are like micro rejections, right? Like they don't like ruin your business and you don't like close up shop or anything, but it never feels good for somebody to be like, yeah, no, I'm not interested. Like I do proposals for website clients all the time. And so it's a fine line and a dance between being at a price that's fair for me for my hourly
Mm-hmm.
rate, as well as something that people can still afford and works for small businesses. And as I raise my rates, I get more rejection. But I
Mm-hmm.
have to look at that as like a sign that these aren't my ideal clients and that I deserve more because I am very like I am building my skills and I am getting better at building websites and the functionality and all the things. So I deserve that raise. Like I can't work for the same amount as I started out building websites for 8 years ago. I have to someday get a raise, and if not everyone will pay that, that's okay.
Yeah, you know what? This is reminding me of the one time in my life I did
Right.
that.
Let's hear it. Hit us with it. This is riveting, guys. Listen up. Jamie has been rejected once and she's gonna share. She's being vulnerable.
um, so oftentimes in the business of like safety auditing, companies will send it out to tender. So they'll send it out to every single auditor that's been like given auditor status within the government. That the government says you can use this third party auditor to assess your systems. And so there'll be like, I don't know, I'm just guessing maybe 50 auditors on the list, and they'll send an email to everyone. So I know when I get like a mass email like this to just do a miscellaneous quote, that I'm competing with 50 other people. I wasn't
Right.
referred personally. They don't know anything about me. This went out to the entire list.
Hmm.
And I remember doing like a proposal, and the locations were very spread out. So I built in quite a bit of travel time just because I've been doing this a long time and I know that it never goes as quickly as you want it to go or plan for. There's, intricacies and orientations that need to happen at each site and travel delays and all the things. So I build in a couple extra days. I also have been doing this for a long time. I've worked in safety for the last almost 20 years. So I know what my worth is. So I gave my quote and the person wrote me back and was like, you were actually our number one candidate. Like we liked what you had to say the most, but your rates are nearly double everybody else's. And I was like, that's impossible. They're either going to like back end you, like they'll be like, yeah, so this
Yes.
took way more time after all. You're going to get the surprise invoice at the end,
Right.
or everyone has gotten so desperate because they know this went out to the entire list that they're like, how can I basically like sell my soul to the devil and do this for like cost? And I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm not willing to do that. And so I'm okay to lose the thing. And I wrote a very nice email back and just said like, thank you for the kind words. I really appreciate it. And I really hope you have a wonderful auditing experience. Like,
Yeah, exactly.
because there's
And
no
when they
hard
don't,
feelings.
they'll remember your email because they'll be like, yeah, we got what we paid for. Like
Mm-hmm.
they didn't do all the days or they ended up
They got the
charging us
big surprise
double.
invoice at the
Yeah.
end. Yeah.
Because in life we do get what we pay for and we do, you know, like if you hire the cheapest, you get the cheapest quality. Like that's whether you're buying something at the dollar store or you're buying something at a beautiful, like Williams Sonoma for your kitchen, you get the quality or you should get the quality of in relation to the price. And
Well, and like perfect example, I'm staring as we speak at a stapler. I use a stapler for everything. I'm like an old school paper kind of gal. I staple stuff all the time.
yeah.
My kids ruined my like good
Mhm.
stapler from Staples that was like way too much money for a stapler. And so I went to the dollar store and I just grabbed a stapler. I'm like, how important are staplers? Like they're not that important. It has literally been the bane of my existence. It's horrible. It breaks all the time. They get stuck, all the things. And I'm like, just go and spend the like $50 on the stapler that you want from Staples.
Mhm.
Just do
Well,
it.
this is me. This is another like extremely dumb example of this. My eyeliner pencil sharpener. I was like, what's the big
I've
deal?
done this exact thing before.
And the thing is, I'm spending a lot of money on the stupid eyeliner, and then I'm letting a dollar store pencil sharpener wreck it. And I'm like, what is going on? The pencil sharpener stays with you for the rest of your life, probably. Like, just spend $10 instead of spending three. Like, why? But you know what? That person's email was also a prompt for you to undercut yourself, right?
Oh
They
yeah.
are hoping that you might go, okay, well, I don't want to lose this. No different than the like boyfriend that breaks up with you and then kind of starts texting again and is like, and you're like, I know this is a bad deal. You know it's a bad deal, but you're like, oh, it feels kind of good to be reconsidered. And they said I was their number one choice.
Mm-hmm.
Like whatever the situation is, the like headspace you go into when you've been rejected gets you feeling off kilter. So there is that like vulnerability, ego hit, whatever that opens you back up to potentially doing things like this. And you know what's interesting? So quite recently, I had somebody refer me and it was like a 10 out of 10 referral. So the friend calls me up and says, I need this website, whatever. So I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I give a quote and he's like, oh, I wasn't planning on spending that kind of money. I'm like, no problem. Good luck on your journey. Take care, like
Mm-hmm.
whatever. And then he writes me back and he fully asks, he said, would you please consider it being this much money? And so I wrote back and said, I could consider it being that much money, but here's what has to leave the quote. So like I simplified like what I could offer and what pages I could develop for him and
Mm-hmm.
all the things. And then he didn't hire me anyway. And I'm like, you know what? I shouldn't have even taken the time to do the second proposal. I knew my worth. I knew he was going to be unhappy with the website unless it was done in full.
Mm-hmm.
And this was just step one in me like bending my boundary around it. And
Mm-hmm.
I should have taken the first rejection and just been like, no, I don't work for less. Because I
And
never,
oftentimes, you're so right. Oftentimes, a rejection comes with like a little bit of that like push to be like, how strong are those boundaries?
Mhm.
Because I would like to just test their durability. Like, are
Exactly.
they spaghetti noodles or are they made of concrete? Like, can I get this person to bend and break? And the problem is when you bend or break your boundaries, you become resentful. Like, had you
Absolutely.
said to the guy, yeah, you know what? I
Mhm.
will do it for that price, even if it was half of what your regular price is, you'd be like, I hate this client. They're terrible. Like,
Well, that
you'd be
or those
resentful towards
pieces
him
I took
because
out, he would still push me to do
100%.
without the pay.
So
And,
he's going to end up unhappy with the end product,
yep.
and you're going to end up resentful towards him because he's forced you into something that you never should have agreed to in the first place.
Yeah.
And
Well, and
neither one of
I'll
you.
even change the like wording on that. He didn't force me. I willfully agreed. I
Mhm.
I undercut myself. Like
Yeah.
I chose to take part in this bullshit. I'm like,
Well, that's exactly it, though. Like,
you know,
had you just accepted the rejection,
mhm,
it could have protected you from all of
of
that, and
course.
then you wouldn't have been resentful. Well, I mean, you ended up not getting it anyway, so you weren't. But like, you wouldn't have been resentful. You wouldn't have been in a situation you didn't want to be in. You would have had more time and energy for the clients that are your ideal clients.
Exactly. For sure. No, and that's just it. And truthfully, that guy might come back because he can go ask for more quotes. I am very reasonably priced for my experience level and the fact that I'm based in North America and on the same time zone and, all the things. And so he's going to have to make a whole bunch of different choices in order to find the price that he's actually looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And whatever those choices are and compromises are, he's not going to be happy with it anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So quite often, I do get the call from the person saying, "Hey, so I asked around and your price wasn't that crazy, or I got it done by somebody else for way less, but I hate it, or it doesn't work, or whatever."
Mm-hmm.
And that's okay too. Like, I'm like, all right, well, then your price might go up because you've caused me some annoyance. But yes, and like just getting into the frame of mind and like having that tool in your toolbox to not take rejections as a hit to your value, hit to your worthiness, hit to
Mm-hmm.
your self-esteem, hit to your ego, and
Mm-hmm.
just knowing and like just repeat to yourself, like, rejection is protection. I wasn't meant to be on that project. I wasn't meant
Mm-hmm.
to get that job. I wasn't meant to stay with that guy. I wasn't meant to make that team, whatever it looks
Mm-hmm.
like.
Yeah.
um I firmly believe in. I just it's not easy in the moment, but
No.
if you like flex the muscle and keep working on it, you'll get to the point where you'll be so grateful because you're like, well, I can't wait to see what the universe has for me or why it's
Mm-hmm.
giving me the space to not take this job because I know something better is coming. And when you think thoughts like that, something better does come.
Absolutely.
And that's the beauty of like manifesting what you actually want and what actually
Yeah,
aligns with you.
for sure.
We would love to hear about your rejections and how you handled them and what are the lessons that you've learned around getting rejected, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I know we all have lots of, I mean, we all, except for Jamie. I would have invited a
I
different
only had that one example.
co-host. I would have invited a different co maybe Jamie could do some reflecting and make like a social media post on the
Mhm.
Ultimate Girls Trip social media if anything came up later that she remembered about rejection. But
I
I'm
doubt
going to
it.
say no, she probably doesn't
I doubt
have
it.
that. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Bye.
bye guys. Thanks for joining us. We are so grateful you're here.
It would mean the world to us if you'll subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel and leave us a review.
If you want to hear more from us, go to proofitspossible.com to join our mailing list and find our social links so you don't miss a thing.
Thanks and chat next time.